Welcome to Hero's Journey PhysioFitness. Our mission is to empower, inspire, and mentor people to reclaim their health and become self-reliant in their fitness. I'm your host, Dr. Cameron Hogue. Join with me as my co-host, Annabelle Rios.
Okay, and we are going live in 3, 2,
1. Annabelle and I were talking before we started recording about we need a little sound effects.
We do.
Little things that we can sprinkle in throughout the podcast.
We have a few, like, we need a hero from Shrek.
Or what was that other one you're saying?
Oh, the achoo! I'm allergic to cardio.
Allergic to cardio, yeah. A few announcements. We are going to be coming up with a ebook. We're going to try and put all these steps and condense it into a PDF version that
The people have been asking, and we're going to give the people what they want.
we always got to give the people what they want. So ebook coming up. We'll be working on that once we finish all the steps. And then on the other announcement, Annabelle, he's getting close. 405 deadlift, 4 plates. Could be.
It's coming.
It's
I'm
coming.
going to hit the 4 wheels soon.
We are in one of our last workouts last week. He pulled 350 for 5. I pulled 350 for 1, so he's a few reps ahead of me. I'll catch up, but
He's getting there.
Annabelle. He'll get it.
That's one of the perks about being short, you know?
Less to lift up.
Yeah. Oh, and tell them about a special guest we have today with us.
Oh my gosh.
Cam Sty.
So I got a sty in my eye. I guess I don't know why it rhymes like that, but I can only see like halfway through it, and it hurts to blink.
It's just staring at me.
It's pretty ugly looking. But anyway, so today we're going to be talking about setbacks.
Do a quick recap.
Quick recap. So we talked about step 0 being like our mindset, and then also knowledge, internal and external. We broke it up into 2 parts, kind of confusing, but we didn't want it to be like a 2-hour episode.
Mm-hmm.
So more of like what you do before you even begin, because most people don't even start on the right step. So, and then we had step 1, which was take action. We kind of went through the first couple of months, how you get started, what you can be consistent with. Then in step 2, we talked about progression, how you, whether you're doing resistance training or cardio, how you kind of get better. And we talked about the different tools of progressive overload and how to utilize those. And then today, this is more of a Debbie Downer. We're going to talk about setbacks.
Wong, wong, wong.
Because it's really not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You are going to experience some sort of setback, whether that is physical, like some sort of pain, injury, whether it's mental, whether it's time. Something's going to happen where you are going to experience a setback.
Yeah, you're on this plan, this course of action, and maybe it's something minor. Like, oh, shoot, I've had a lot of family events, so I've missed a lot of workouts. Travel, yeah. Things like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anything major. It could be. Or it could be something minor. Like, I just had a busy week.
So the question's going to be, what do we do when setbacks happen?
It's not about the setback. It's about the comeback.
Are you going to be a little pansy, or are you going to get back in the arena? So what do? We want to talk at least a little bit, at least where I'm more of an expert in, is the physical, because I'm a physical therapist. I deal with people being in pain, injury every day. And this will be by no means condensing 3 years of PT school into 20 minutes, but I do want to give a flyover of what to do when you're starting to experience pain. So let's jump into this. Annabelle, what do you think the difference is between injury, pain, and soreness? Start with soreness.
Soreness, I just think about, back to the days, riding the bench. And it was just simply, when you're playing sports or you're working out, is that you're a little tight, your muscles are a little fatigued. It's not hurting.
Right.
So it's not like anything major. It's just they're not functioning like they normally are because I don't want to get into it, but, it's doing its thing.
Yeah. The reason we start with soreness is it's interesting whenever I work with patients and they are in pain. let's just say shoulder pain, and then I get them exercising, what we call like therapeutic exercise or correctional exercise, they might come back the next session and say, oh my gosh, Cam, I'm in way more pain. And I'm like, oh shoot, like I really like flared them up. And so I start asking them like, oh, is that burning pain? Like, is it, the last time you said it was a 5 out of 10, and now is it an 8 out of 10? And they're like, well, no, the burning pain's is still like a 5, but like I am really sore. And I'm like, oh, so it's not,
There's
that
a difference.
it's not that pain you're coming in to see me about. This is like, and it's like in totally different spots. But a lot of people equate being sore with, pain. And it kind of can be. They're overlapping terms.
Yeah.
But like Annabelle was saying, like I had a workout, I played a sport, like my muscles are sore because really soreness, it's like tissue stress. Like you're
rebuilding.
You're breaking down to build up. And usually that's induced by exercise, work-related task, or sport, because the body has to undergo some sort of stressor in order to build back up. And now sometimes you might not even be sore to break down, but sometimes initially you will feel the DOMS, the delayed onset of muscle soreness.
So I think that might be good to, we always try to teach people to think, to evaluate their situation. And if you're brand new,
you're gonna be sore.
Well, that too, but you might not know the difference. But let's say, okay, I'm working out. Most likely, this may not be pain. I say that because you can hurt yourself if you don't know what you're doing.
You can overdo it,
but it might be soreness. Most likely, it will be soreness.
Right. And again, there is some overlap, and then pain. Geez, it is a huge topic. I don't want to get bogged down talking about pain, but
many hours later,
it's a broad overview is it's a signal from your nervous system that something's wrong. Your body's not liking something. So it doesn't always mean injury. So pain does not equal injury, and pain does not equal soreness. There can be overlap, but they don't equal each other. So pain can mean that stress that we talked about was more than what was needed, and it triggers like the inflammatory response, which is like essentially the first phase of healing. But you overdid it to the point where it's not soreness, now it's inflamed, now that muscle's tweaked, now that joint's stiff, now you're experiencing something other than soreness. But it could go to the point where you stressed it, where actually you have an injury. And an injury would be more like, again, this is overview, like a tear or a break. Like you broke a bone. Like you stressed the system too much where the bone broke. You stressed the muscle belly where the muscle tore. Not just like a little bit like we think about when we work out, but we're talking like there's different grades. I wasn't here when they assigned all the grades, but essentially most things are grades 1 through 3 or 1 through 4. And the higher up you go, the worse the tear.
Like a semi-tear, full tear.
Exactly. Like as the grades go higher, it's worse of a tear. And then I would say at that point, an injury is probably going to need like a medical intervention. Like if you broke a bone, you're going to need a cast. You're going to need to go see a doctor. If it's torn all the way, you potentially might need surgery. Like at that point, the pain has gotten and the stress was so much that something broke or tore, and then it might need medical intervention. But pain does not mean that. It could lead to that, but it doesn't have to mean that.
Would you say if left untreated, pain could potentially lead to that?
It could, but just because someone's experiencing pain doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to lead to that. It warrants to that. And I don't want people to think when they're experiencing pain that they're injured, because that's two different things. Yeah. If I tore my bicep tendon and it's called the Popeye, like where the bicep tendon rolls up and your arm looks like Popeye, that's a full tear. That's something that you might need to see your doctor about, unless it's, hindering your function.
Sure.
But straining like a biceps tendonitis, like you overwork the tissue so much where it's super inflamed, that's just pain. We haven't bordered injury yet. Like things haven't tore, they're just super inflamed. And and it still can be a lot of pain. You can still experience so much pain from a biceps tendonitis. Asked me last year because I was in a lot of pain with some biceps tendonitis.
Was it that one time we just did a ungodly amount of curls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the difference between soreness, pain, and injury. They're not equal. They can overlap. But I just want people to think just because you are in pain does not mean that your body is injured. It could mean, but it doesn't always mean that. So the real question is, what do I do if I'm in the gym, running, something, and now I'm starting to experience pain? And we're going to call this acute pain because that means like within a month, like it just happened. We're not talking if you've had back pain for 20 years. We're not talking about that. We're talking you just flared up something. You're starting to experience pain. What do we do? So we're going to get into that. I think most people have probably heard of the acronym RICE. Annabelle, what does RICE stand for? We were talking earlier, and I think you remembered it.
Yeah. Rest, ice, compress, elevate.
Yes.
Rice, baby.
Rice, right. And basically that came out a while back, and it's kind of bullcrap. No one.
Why is that?
Well, back in the day, we really thought that. Well, not everything in rice is, well, as we'll see, is bad, but the ice and the rest are kind of what people took issue with. Because back in the day, when ACLs were torn and had to have surgery, they were locked in an extension brace for a while. And what was happening is they thought, we just need to rest. And they want you to ice. We want you to stay in this while we let the tissue heal. And what they were finding was that it wasn't healing as fast, and the patients were having less range of motion because they were locked with their knee straight for weeks and months. So not too long ago, they actually started having people start therapy a day or two after their surgery. And we started bending their leg, and we started getting them stretching and trying to activate the muscles. And these patients were having leaps and bounds better recovery than the people that used to be in an extension brace. So they were kind of through the years figuring out that this is kind of not good. And we also know, like as physical therapists, like tissue healing time, like the difference in like those different grades we talked about of strains or tears between muscles and tendons and bone. Like we kind of know on average how people heal. And we're figuring out that rice doesn't really align with that, or doesn't really facilitate that. So we've been kind of getting away from that, and we're going to give you guys a better acronym today to go by. It's a little longer, sorry. But I think it's way better. And
I think so.
Yeah. And we kind of added our own little twist to the end. So we didn't come up with the first part, but we came up with the last part. And then, but we also know with tissue healing time too, if you're diabetic or if you're a smoker, that it can potentially take 2 to 3 times as long to heal as somebody who is a non-diabetic and a non-smoker. So that's crazy. Like something that would take somebody 4 to 6 weeks to heal might take you 12 weeks long, maybe even longer. Like it could take a lot longer to actually heal. And we don't know about vaping. Like I haven't looked into the research on this, but I would say, that would probably hinder your tissue healing as well.
Yeah. I think this is good to know, especially if you have diabetes, you're a smoker, and you experience any injuries to be cognizant of that.
Yeah. Okay.
So into account.
So if it's not rice, what are we going to go by? And we didn't make this up. Disclaimer: we did not make this up. But the acronym is peace and love
plus thunder,
and we added in thunder.
You need some thunder.
Peace, love, and thunder. So we'll take you through what this is. So it's an acronym. So each letter equates to something other than our thunder. We just wanted to put it in something kind of badass. Okay, so let's walk through these, Annabelle. The P. So you just tweaked your back. Okay, you were in the gym. Something didn't feel right. You're having some pain in your back now. Okay, so what do? We peace and love. P stands for protection. Okay, so we do want to at some point initially protect, which means like you're going to avoid the activities and movements that are causing your pain to get worse.
But people will immediately probably say, well, isn't that kind of what rice says? Rest.
Well, so rest usually
But here's what I would say. Rest to me means like you're not doing anything. This one says avoid activities and movement that increase. So for instance, I tweaked my shoulder the other day doing, I think it was incline bench, but dumbbell bench doesn't hurt me.
Yes.
So you're still moving. But you're avoiding the specific exercise. I think a lot of times we slow ourselves down.
Right. So the rest would mean complete rest. So
complete
you tweaked
rest.
your back and you're not doing anything. Just
anything.
This is saying protect. So you're not doing the things that hurt, but definitely do the things that don't hurt. And again, this is just for the first few days after an injury. So we're talking acute pain here. If squatting hurts, don't keep squatting. But if
maybe a variation.
Yeah, maybe leg press didn't feel bad.
Yeah.
So keep the system moving, but protect the body from the pain or from the movements and activities that do hurt it. That's the difference between protect and rest.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the P. The E stands for elevation. That one did carry along.
They got that one right.
They got that one right. That's still a good one, especially if it's like the extremities, like something in the arm or leg. Getting that injured limb higher than the heart. It helps with swelling. So that's still a good one to do.
I mean, I think you hear that a lot in the runners community.
Yeah.
I think you hear about Rice a lot in the runners community too.
Right. We're trying to get rid of.
We'll give them more peace and love and thunder.
Hit them with that peace and love. So that's the E is elevation. The A stands for avoid anti-inflammatories. Now I'm going to go out here and say I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a physical therapist. Always consult with your doctors. I'm not licensed in prescribing or taking away medication. But if this should make intrinsic sense though. Initially after an injury, or I shouldn't say injury, initially after pain, the body is going to go through, as we said earlier, the inflammatory response, which is actually the first phase of healing. The body has to send signals and other type of molecules down to the area to help facilitate healing. So if you take an anti-inflammatory, what you're basically doing is stopping the first phase of healing, which is you want some inflammation to occur so that the body can start healing.
Mm-hmm.
So just food for thought, maybe avoid taking something like ibuprofen and take something that doesn't have the anti-inflammatory effect. So we'll list some maybe options in the show notes or something.
What, like Tylenol?
Yeah, something that doesn't have, like, definitely don't take ibuprofen afterwards because it's called an NSAID, a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory. Don't take something like that.
Yeah.
Because we want the healing to start. We don't want to bypass that. The next one, the C, is compression. And so using things like bandages or taping, and this also can reduce swelling. So we have found that lightly compressing, don't cut off circulation. Don't compress it. Don't compress it that much. But using sort of bandages and taping can help, especially if it's on the extremities. Like obviously, if it's your low back, don't tape your abdomen. But extremity-wise, arms or legs, get some compression in there. That can definitely help with that initial pain. And then the E stands for education. And this one is just saying, like, your body knows. Listen to your body. Don't just run to the chiropractor. Don't even just run to the physical therapist a few days after an injury. Like, this first piece is like the first week or so.
Yeah.
Follow piece this first week. Let your body do its natural role of trying to heal itself. Before just running into getting, some passive treatments and stuff like that. Now, I think if you go to a good physical therapist, they should, be operating under the assumption of peace and love, and then thunder, and can help facilitate the healing process. They won't do things that, would delay it. So that might be a good step, but some people don't want to, go seek medical intervention. So we're just trying to make people self-reliant here.
Yeah, exactly. You need to understand your body, your past injuries, and be able to do, I guess in a way, self-diagnose a little bit, but not fully
definitely
diagnose.
Have to self-diagnose. But also, I'm biased. Definitely go see your local physical therapist if need be. But that's the piece: protection, elevation, avoid anti-inflammatories, compression, and education. I would say that's about the first week. Try that the first week. And then there's love. So the L stands for load. We need to actually start to try and return to those activities you were doing. We need to try to load the tissue, because that is actually going to also, that's going to help with healing, but we don't want to load too fast, too quick. A few episodes ago, we talked about, and we kind of got really in the weeds and boring about the organelles and the tissue and stuff like that. But knowing your tissue and which kind might be under stress, let's at least the therapists know, and potentially where you are in the healing process and how we can load that area. But we do want to start to try and return to some activities. So as Annabelle said, he was incline bench with the barbell, didn't feel great, kind of causing pain, tried dumbbells, and it felt better. He was able to load. Or maybe you just need to lighten the load. Maybe you were benching 135 pounds and that was painful, but I went back to 90 pounds and actually that wasn't bad.
Yeah.
So after that first week, try loading, start light, build up, and see how your body responds.
Yeah, and I mean, it goes back to all the mindset that we always try to tell you guys to, one, know yourself, having that growth mindset of like, oh crap, something's off. What's going on? What's happening? And creating a plan of action and then executing.
Yes. I think a good example of this is, okay, heavy squats have been hurting my back. So I tried light squatting. Okay, light squatting still hurt my back. Okay, what about body weight squats? Oh, that didn't hurt my back. Okay, we'll start there. And then keep loading and building up. And this is where actually a good physical therapist can help navigate you through the exercise, because that's what we're trained to do. But again, try it yourself. Try backing off, but still loading. So that's the L, is load.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even come to you about my shoulder. I just knew what to do.
Hey. I've got a disciple. Okay, the O stands for optimism. The brain is a powerful organ. The brain is a powerful tool.
It is.
And it sounds crazy, but having the right mindset, a positive and confident mindset that you're going to get out of this pain and potential injury that you have, can totally change like the trajectory of your rehab. Like totally can.
And I would say with this, not just having, I guess, not setting a specific deadline, because I think this is kind of where people can get this. It's kind of hard to go from being negative and being like, oh my gosh, I don't know, ruptured my ACL. And how am I going to get back? How long is it going to take? It's not focusing on the duration, but just literally being optimistic. Okay, I know I'm going to recover, and just focusing on the daily activities that you need to do to get better.
Right. What can I do today?
Exactly. I think if not, and that applies to a lot of other things a lot. Like if you, let's say you've been missing your workouts, or you've been because you're traveling, or you haven't been eating the foods on your food plan, is okay, well, let me know that I can get out of this slump. I need to follow my plan. I also need to be positive, but not be so fixated on the date. When is that date gonna be? Because that's when you can lose a lot of hope in that, and you just have to keep focusing on your plan, taking it one day, and the results are gonna come. Yeah, I'm sure you see your patients too, and a lot of times like, how many more times do I have to come see you, Dr. Cam?
Yeah, they like seeing me, but they don't like seeing me.
Exactly.
Something's going on. That goes back to one of our mindset of just one day at a time.
Yeah.
Take things one day at a time. So that's the O. It's optimism. The V stands for vascularization. So we're going to choose some cardiovascular activities that are pain-free. May I add, don't just do something that's starting to hurt, to increase the blood flow to repair tissue. Blood flow is the biggest indicator of healing. That's why areas of the body, especially like ligaments, take so much longer to heal, because they're so avascular. They don't have enough blood supply to them like muscles do, and even bones. It takes longer to heal. So any activity we can do cardio-wise that doesn't hurt is great to do.
Low impact.
Like swimming, biking, even walking on the treadmill, walking outside. We have most of our clients warm up on a piece of exercise equipment, because we know that blood flow stimulates tissue healing. So great to do, and it's a good way to keep the body moving. The E in love stands for exercise. So now at this point, we've done some things. We tried to load. We've done some cardio type stuff that isn't painful. Now we're going to try to actually restore some like mobility, some strength. We're going to take it easy. A lot of times in the PT world, we call this graded exposure, where you're like through like a gradient, like if you were bending over 25%, then 30%, then 35%, then 40%. So you're just slowly trying to increase that pain-free range of motion, pain-free with the weights that you're choosing. And we're trying to kind of get back to the routine that we were on, but just using it in like pain-free ranges of motion. So very similar to the load, but I think this would be a little bit more aggressive. Like we're actually starting to try to get back into the routine that you were in.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So that's peace and love, and Annabelle and I added in thunder. Thunder. I'm saying get your ass back in the gym and rock and roll.
But essentially, it's just you got to recommit.
Yes.
So you've gone through peace and love, and now it's like, okay, I'm back at it. What was your vision? What was your goal? And then execute that plan again. Try to focus on why you even started this journey to begin with. And because I think a lot of times when you have your setbacks, you lose focus. You're like, man, I was on the path. I was going to hit.
The weight is going to drop off the bar. Like
I was going to hit 405 in a few weeks.
Oh, yeah.
But then you're like, and then you kind of lose focus, and then you get stuck. But you go through peace, you go through love, and like, all right, now I got to get back at it. Why was I trying to accomplish again? Why was I doing it?
Yeah, remember your why.
Mm-hmm.
And this doesn't just go with like physical injuries. This can also be a mindset and all this other things, and that's why it's a huge thing in movies and books that follow this hero archetype.
It's one of the reasons why it's called the hero's journey. PhysioFitness.
Exactly. And so Annabelle, tell everybody that part of that cycle.
Yes. I think it's about 12 steps. It's like a circle. You can look at it. It starts with like a guy at the very top and walking through what's considered their normal world, call to adventure. They go through this whole cycle.
Whole thing, yeah.
And then it's like at the midway point, they experience a lot of things. It's where they're going to face their greatest challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Their greatest fear, potential, death, and a lot of other things. But in a sense, it's a setback.
Yes.
It is a moment of testing everything they've been doing up to this point. They went through it. In every movie that you see, you'll see this. And you're going to as well.
Yeah. Or you can continue as the hero, or you're going to go back to a zero,
From a zero to hero.
Trademark pending.
But it's not to be depressing, but to let you know it's going to happen, and it's okay. It's a part of life.
And all the heroes go through it.
All the heroes, you being a hero, are going to go through it, and we're giving you everything to prepare. And if you're in the middle of it, peace, love, and thunder.
That's right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for this one. Hopefully this gives people an idea, at least with a physical injury, and some mindset on how to go about. Always reach out to one of your local physical therapists if you need help with this, or if after a couple weeks things are not improving. Follow us on social media. We'll have a link tree in the show notes, comment or DM for future topics. And remember, you are human. We are not seeking perfection, but daily improvements. See you guys.
All right. See you guys.